the real issue that arises is that the industry went through an unprecedented crisis. 7 out of the top 10 global fleets in the world could not withstand the ferocity of the crisis, and the outcome was that all their ownerships changed. So having come through this, it was a big deal. Then there's a choice. Either you continue down this path or you take the option of going to a capital market for liquidity, because the crisis had really hurt and impaired each one of the survivors. We took a view. We went to the London market, and the capital markets closed down since October, November last year. We looked at a various bunch of other options, and we set our eyes on DP World because A, they're a great company, they're from the region, we know them, they have reach all over the world, and many of their sort of some parallel businesses like P&O Maritime, etc., had a fit, and it would benefit them. There would be synergies even beyond the actual business of OSV, and that is why we looked at them very seriously. So for Renaissance Services, there are a couple of issues. We've operated under the banner of one group, two companies, but our intent from day one was to let each company be a standalone company operating with their own managements and board. Now, when we came through this crisis, we have one of two choices. We can continue onwards with Topaz, but there was a paucity of liquidity in the company post all that happened during these past 3 or 4 years. We were not actually seeing any positive triggers in the region or in fact globally at the current time. And our view was that if we sell the company, we would be able to pay down a substantial amount of debt and then stay with Renaissance Services, which is actually where it all started, which is an integrated facilities management company. On a standalone basis, it would get a far greater multiple. It was operating in a time when governments and big corporates in the entire region desperately need to outsource and become more efficient, and in a sense, perfect place, perfect time, and we had to then ignore the fact that we may not be getting the best valuation and trade it off against building an outstanding company that already has a superb track record and being valued at far higher multiples because it's in an industry that is in demand, which is outsourcing, integrated facility management. For example, what we're doing at Duqm, what we do for BP in Kazan, what we do for Al-Moj, for PDO, a number of military outfits, etc. And that is our whole thought process. Like all successful things, I'm going to keep this very simple. Renaissance is one of the very few, if not the only, listed company in the region that will now be purely focused on integrated facility management, life support services, etc., really contract services. So for us, this gives a great opportunity of being able to grow in an asset-light environment and address a market where governments and large corporates throughout the region will really require to outsource all their services to create greater efficiencies. So that, in a sense, is the overlay of where we're going. And how we're going to get there is through a multitude of different things that we do today. So we're providing integrated facility management throughout Oman. We want to export this through the region. We've just touched on the UAE, and we're beginning to get our feet nicely wet over there, and even looking further afield. But the gamut of services, or the range of services, is going to increase tremendously because, so for example, we're in waste management, We're in industrial catering, cleaning, O&M, some health services, environmental services, and that is where we are going to stay focused. If you look westward, the multiples that high growth service companies enjoy are actually in the 20s and 30s, and we really need to show the market our ability to grow in an asset-light model and make it count. I wouldn't say like tech companies, but sort of somewhere in between an industry and technology companies.